Hi, y'all. So before I get started, I was hoping to do a little exercise. No, don't worry, you're not going to have to get out of your seats or even talk for this one. But if you're willing, I'd hope that you'd close your eyes and just take a moment to think. I want you to think about your biggest wish, your wildest dream. Maybe it's a level of success in your career, retiring early, starting a family, winning the lottery, or paragliding over a volcano. It's whatever you want. I want you to think about what that dream would mean for you if it came true. How would it change your life? Now, with your eyes still closed, I want you to think about 90% of the attendees at this conference being granted their wishes, only to find out that you are in the minority of the group that does not. Think about how this wish granting is going to be the only thing that people talk about when you go to dinner tonight and in the coming days. You'll see the excitement as people watch their lives change immediately for the better. And you'll continue to watch as the long-term effects of that play out too. There will be news articles about how almost everybody at that conference had their dreams come true. People who don't know you but mean well will be excited when they meet you and say, "Hey, were you at that conference? Did your dream come true?" And you'll have to explain to them that you're actually part of the 10%. Please just be aware of the emotions and the stories running through your mind. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for doing that with me. Most of you might be wondering why I asked you to do this, but most of you, or a lot of you, have probably guessed. This is the best way that I can exemplify the emotional dichotomy that I've experienced over the last 3.5 years as somebody living in that 7 to 10% minority. My name is Steph Hansen. I'm 33 years old, living with cystic fibrosis that's caused by rare and nonsense mutations, which make me ineligible for treatment with the drug Trikafta. As somebody who represents the 7%, medical advancements over the last few years have personally impacted my life. That ineligibility created an ambivalent space in my mind, filled with conflicting emotions. On one side, there's immeasurable happiness and joy for my fellow CFers who are living healthier, fuller lives and finally able to watch their dreams come true. But authentically, and I imagine maybe some of you might have just felt a hint of it, there's another more difficult side of that same coin for me. With so much recent focus on and celebration of the effects of Trikafta, it's often left me feeling forgotten and left behind. While Trikafta has been the hot topic for sessions at conferences and discussions throughout the community, I have simultaneously experienced some of my most difficult years and now face more health complications than ever before. As I've watched so many CFers on Trikafta begin to live fundamentally different lives, I slowly began feeling isolated and wondered how I fit into my community in this new and exciting time. That, in part, is why I'm so grateful to be here today to learn, along with all of y'all, about how this foundation is furthering their efforts and continuing to support research for cystic fibrosis across the board. I'm also grateful to be here with y'all virtually, as I'm still battling the effects of a common cold that I caught a month ago, which developed into a lung infection. And it was just a few weeks ago that I sat in yet another hospital room with no great options for treatment due to resistance to antibiotics, drug allergies, and other complications. That admission felt like I was throwing darts at a dartboard, blindfolded, hoping that something would stick so that I could fight to see another day. As I was given an antibiotic that I have allergic reactions to, it struck me. how desperate I felt for more options, any options. This last admission allowed me to realize that I've spent the last few years so focused on when I might gain access to something like modulator therapy that I lost sight of how other treatments might be able to help, just like they have all my life. I think, like many people in this room, I'm a pretty determined person and I don't love hearing no for an answer. But I see now how being so singularly focused on an outcome, like modulators, allowed me to close myself off to other possibilities. I know that the needs of the CF community look a bit different in the time of modulators, but I see now that the same challenges that have always been there still very much exist for many of us, regardless of mutation status. As I felt lost navigating these feelings this last few years, it's comforting to know how focused the foundation remains in their commitment of leaning into all viable options to help improve the lives of CF patients. While I know that I would definitively not be here in front of you without the work that the foundation has accomplished, I cannot deny the difficult position that I find myself in as someone living in the 7% who is waiting for more treatment options and the moments of fear that come from that place. There has been more ugly crying this last few years than I really care to admit. As at some point, my desire to get what 90% of CFers now have warped into desperation. But like the parents who started this foundation out of desperation to help their children, my desperation has served as the raw material for change and more motivation to face the adversity that lies ahead. I'm sharing these things with you today because as we watch treatment options expand, the dreams of CFers grow bigger and bolder than ever before, mine included. My own dreams are filled with peaceful mornings where I don't have to immediately hook myself up to machines. I dream of taking that deep breath that doesn't throw me into a coughing fit. I think of having a full-time job and what possibilities that might hold if I knew that my health could just remain stable enough. I dream of writing a book and living long enough to see it get published. I think about getting to see the final season of HBO's House of Dragon because that first season was nuts. I dream of running around with my nieces and nephews and getting to see them grow up. And fun fact, this week I celebrate 10 years with my best friend and partner, Courtney, who, thanks to the foundation, is actually there with y'all in person in Denver on my behalf. Hey, Courtney. I dream of celebrating 20 or 30 more years together. I think about my hair going silver and more smile lines on my face. I don't think that you can see them, but I have a lot of gray already and I'm very proud of them. I worked hard for those. Over the last few years, it's become a dream in and of itself to have my voice heard. A dream that was born of desperation to know that my story still matters. It hasn't been easy getting to a place where I can talk about these things openly. There was a time not long ago where I struggled to voice these things privately because I was ashamed of my own feelings of suffering, while so many of my peers thrive for the first time in their lives. So thank you, Terry, for your encouragement. In order to be honest with y'all today, I've realized that I must be honest with myself. And honesty takes courage. My dream bestie, Brene Brown, always says that there is no courage without vulnerability. So I choose to stand in vulnerability and be honest with you about my experience, dreams, and hopes. And although I've struggled these last few years living in the 7%, I refuse to let my desperation or fear of being left behind serve as an excuse to stand in resignation and to know that my perspective and my battles still matter to y'all, my community, is a dream come true. We CF patients are born and bred fighters. The battles that CFers experience have created some of the strongest and most resilient people I have ever met. The determination and persistence of those individuals is an incredible thing, and I've watched it work miracles. But I also know that no one truly does any of these things alone. I'm here today because I've decided not to let the challenges of CF and being in the 7% diminish my sense of hope. And what fuels that hope is knowing that I have an unstoppable force, like y'all, my loved ones, my incredible CF care team, and this foundation rallying behind me every step of the way. The last few years have been an exciting time of celebration and change as modulators have launched this community into the future. But I am here to fervently ask that we not allow those wins to make us lose our momentum. I'm opting into every CF volunteer event, research study, and possible avenue for treatment presented to me. I am committed to remaining relentless in my fight against CF and doing what I can to make life for those who come after me a bit easier. I'm asking for your renewed help today, or your renewed commitment today, because there are thousands of others like me, modulator or not, who still feel a sense of urgency every single day. We need your help. If you have CF, I'm asking that you keep being vulnerable and brave. Tell your story when you can. I promise your perspective matters. If you love someone with CF, please do what you can to amplify their voices, to be heard. Y'all are the leaders of your communities in this fight against CF, and I ask that you keep leading the charge and advocating for us when we're not able to. Keep telling our stories of fortitude and determination, because this fight is not done until it's done for everyone. Thank you so much for letting me be here with you today and making one of my dreams come true. Thank you for all your hard work and showing me that this foundation in this community keeps showing up regardless of where we are at as individuals. I look forward to working along with all of y'all to make more dreams come true and to eventually make CF stand for Cure Found.